It's time to hit the road and discover Texas with Annie Studebaker. Get ready to travel deep into the heart of the Lone Star State, meeting friendly folks and exploring fascinating places. Experience a way of life like nowhere else in the world as we uncover the rich history and culture of Texas. Discover adventure, discover excitement, discover Texas with Annie Studebaker.
Today, we will take you on a tour of the Orange Grove Area Museum. This museum houses a large collection of historical objects and photos. The wide variety of exhibits, both indoors and outdoors, offers insight into the early history of the area and includes artifacts and memorabilia donated by the local residents.
We're here with Cliff Kissinger. Great. You're going to tell us all about what this whole area in the museum in Orange Grove is about.
Okay, this is remembrance of some of the soldiers in the Vietnam, World War II, Korea. We have, like on the wall here, we have different soldiers from this area that participated in these wars. Back here we have different pictures of soldiers. Like we have one, it's Jose A. Garcia. Okay, he served with the 1st Infantry Group that captured Saddam Hussein. The reason I know that, he's my son-in-law.
Wow.
And then...
Now where's Jose now?
He lives in Laredo.
Interesting.
And my son James Kissinger was here someplace. He was killed in Iraq in 2005.
Oh.
My only son. And some of these, I know a lot of these other soldiers here from Orange Grove. All these uniforms up here, there, and all the information we have of different cities around this area. So we have all branches of service in these uniforms.
Great.
And those soldiers actually live here in Orange Grove that serve. They donated their,
the ones that are
all the uniforms.
Okay, okay. Boy, this is great. And what is in that case over there?
We have different medals. We have different buttons. Parts of uniforms. We have a helmet over here, you can't really see it, where one of our gentlemen from here, who's deceased now, that was in World War II, and has a bullet where it ricocheted off the helmet, saved his life.
And it still shows that dent in there.
Yes, it has it in it. So we have many different types of things here from the military. I do everything I can to do what, you know, to help it here, to anything creative.
You know, this is absolutely great that you help maintain this little area in the museum that, you know.
Well, it's an honor.
It's an honor.
It is, it's an honor.
Our men in the military, they just fight for us. And
yes, ma'am. Yes.
Some of them die for us.
You know, and you're from the Valley. My son's buried at the Mission VA Cemetery down there.
So is my daddy. My daddy is a veteran. Yes,
oh, okay.
He's buried there.
He's buried there.
Well, this is great. What you're doing is great. So what's your next step?
We're putting in a wall over here. I'm doing dog tags with all the soldiers from the Coastal Bend area. Like Vietnam, World War II, World War I. We're going to have them all in here. Like the Memorial Wall of Travels, we're going to have that in here. I'm doing it myself.
That is great.
Because anything to honor our soldiers is, you know, that we've lost in wars or conflicts, either one.
So this is so nice, such a nice display of all these uniforms that have been worn of soldiers, and most of these have fought in the war.
Yes, ma'am. All of them, ma'am.
All of them.
It's either Vietnam, World War II, Korea, Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan. Anything to honor all these soldiers that lost their lives in the wars of conflict. It's their honor. It's my honor to honor them.
In the military room, they have family and area history, as well as information and items honoring their local military members. This is a replica of the early banks of Sandia and Orange Grove. This one was called Farmer State Bank. This is the original Board of Directors table from the Farmer State Bank in Orange Grove. Checks in the early bank had no name and no account number printed on them. They could be found on the counter of every business, You simply filled out the check and signed it. Your name was your account. This exhibit is a replica of an early barber shop. It was a strictly male domain. You could get a shoe shine, haircut, shave, and for 25 cents, a bath. This is a picture of the Schultz barber shop in the late 1920s. The hand clippers date from the late 1800s and as early as the 1900s. And the razor strap used to sharpen straight razors dates from the 18th century. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, most clothing was handmade. Women created most of their family's clothing as well as things for their home. These are samples of embroidery handwork. This machine was ordered from Germany in the late 1800s. It still sews and can embroider, make ruffles, and can accomplish many of the things that any modern machine can accomplish. The museum has all the attachments and the instruction manual. This was a time when cotton was the primary crop in the area and picked by hand. Many local residents remember working in the cotton fields as children. Cotton not only had to be picked, but the weeds and grass had to be chopped out with a hoe. These were the sacks used to pick cotton and the scales used for weighing it. There were two local drugstores. One was owned by Mr. Klatt and the other by Mr. Carter. Besides having medical supplies and medicines, they also had a variety of gift items. The general store was a major commerce spot. Purchases could be made for anything you might need as well as selling any products you might produce, such as bread, eggs, jams, or jellies. If not in stock, most items could be ordered for you. This is one of the first electric machines to provide a woman with a permanent hair wave. Can you imagine getting your hair soaking wet, sitting on a steel chair, tying your hair to high voltage connectors, and then plugging in the entire contraption? Well, it was guaranteed to curl your hair. Dr. Moat was a local doctor for many years. Originally from Europe, Dr. Moat was ill as a young child, and while boarding the ship, doctors diagnosed him with the measles. In those days, measles was a very serious illness. The ship's doctor insisted that they leave the ship and not book passage again until the boy was well. The ship then sailed without the Moat family, which was a good thing because the ship was the Titanic. This early music machine played with cylinders. It must be hand-cracked and then turned on and set. This museum has over 100 cylinders for this music machine. This piano was one of the first pianos to arrive in Texas. It was ferried across the Mississippi River in early 1899. The Culbertson family transported the piano to Pittsburgh, Texas in 1843. The piano was made in New York with parts coming from as far away as England. It has only 85 keys, whereas most pianos have 88. This piano was brought to Orange Grove by Wagon. This exhibit contains things from the old post office in Orange Grove, including pictures of their first post office and the story of their first rural mail carrier. This post office is typical of any post office in the United States in the early 1900s. They were sometimes located in general stores or in a section of someone's home. These rigs are not kits. They were built to scale and represent many local drilling sites. These and other miniature rigs were built by Mr. James Sigmund in remarkable detail. Not only did he build the rigs, but he also built the trucks, malt shacks, and towns.
Near the little community called Blunzer, up here on 666 out of Big Kitty.
What's the community called?
Blunzer. It's the corner of 624 and 666, which is the Blunzer community that goes to Corpus Christi. And out towards San Patricia, Texas, the Wrights Materials dig down into the Nueces River and get their sand, their caliche for the roads, okay? This lady calls me on the phone and says, my daughter has retired, she was a teacher, would you like her things from her science class? I said, would I? And I went charging over there the next day, and she gives us this bowl right here. And this is the ball joint socket of this Mammoth leg.
My goodness.
It fits right up here. And and it's called the Ball Socket, right up here. And over in Corpus Christi, at the corner of Leopard Street and McKenzie, is this library. And you can see how tall the children are and how tall this leg is for the mammoth, you know, that had the long hair. And you knew that they ate vegetables because you can tell by their teeth.
That is so neat. Where are their teeth?
Their teeth is right here and right here.
That's just one, huh?
Uh-huh. And they're a vegetable chewers, see. They can eat grasses. They didn't eat meat, you know, like rabbits or anything like that. They chewed their meat. But this was the mammoth that was right in Nueces County on the Nueces River, like 15 miles from here.
My goodness, can you imagine that?
The mammoth days like 30,000 years ago, you know.
And they're still digging over there.
They're still digging over
And you're very fortunate to get that.
She called me and she just called me on the phone. Would you like this? I said, oh yes.
That is neat. That is.
And those are all just different mammoth teeth.
And fossils. Look at those fossils.
And the things came from out there. So when they dig, they know that.
Miss Fox might have mentioned that each person that gives us or donates gets a number. And they have a piece of paper and we put their name, what it is, where they found it, and we attach a number to every item that's here. You know, like whether it's a saddle or a teepee or.
My name is Raymond Bartash. I'm the owner of the car. It's a Chevrolet and it looks like a Ford somewhat, but these are more rare. Ford or dime a dozen everywhere. You can find them, but you cannot find these Chevrolets like this.
So that's what makes it special, huh?
It makes it a little special, yes ma'am. Originally this car came from Illinois with Dr. O'Connor. Everything on the car is original except for the headlights.
How long has it been here at the museum?
It's been here at the museum probably 7 or 8 years maybe.
I'm gonna open the door and look inside and see what it looks like.
The car has all this back here, all down below. That's a lot of that is made out of wood. It's not all metal. Even the doors here. If you tore this apart, you'll find wood in here.
This is your luggage area.
Yeah, it's a little luggage, or what they call a rumble seat.
It's a seat inside.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you sit in there and put your feet up in there. It'll hold 2 people. Could put 3 in.
This is the seat right here.
Yeah, that leans back.
Oh, how neat. My goodness.
This is the Haveman's covered wagon right here. And this tells about it right here and everything. Now then, whenever we started this, they brought their wagon. They said, what you can do, you can go out to the old farm and you can dig our wagon up. So we did. We went out there and we got all of this out. They came in 2 wagons. They pulled one wagon. We only have the tongue under there, the other one. Now then, we have the Amish people living in our area out here. It's on the other side of Mathis. They came and put the tops on for me and did my big sign out front and also this one over here. So that's the Amish part. And they showed how they lived in this covered wagon and how they would go every night and find a place where there was water because they were taking their cow with them. So therefore they had fresh meat, fresh milk, fresh cheese, fresh butter. They carried their chickens with them, fresh chickens, fresh eggs, and everything. You'd think, well, those poor people that lived in a covered wagon, well, they had it all. So we just needed to know more about their history, that they had all of this.
And they traveled for weeks at a time.
Years.
Years. Years at that.
Yeah, no, months and months and years. Now the back is where they stored their clothes. They stored their things. For instance, I would say that they probably had a quilt for a bed that they would bring, one for Mother and Daddy and one for the children, so they'd have 2 quilts. They're going to have to be very careful what they bring because they can't put everything in this one box. This is your clothes. This is everything. So we have been thinking about this a lot, and we thought, well, I guess they brought the plow blades because you could always cut down a tree and make the other part. So if you start thinking about what would they bring, just the bare necessities. Can you imagine leaving your country, leaving your family? I don't know how they did it and come over here. And I was saying that they were so thankful that they had arrived, and that, well, sometimes the men came first and cleared the land and hung snakes over the fence so that they could teach their children about all these snakes and things. But also, when they were coming over here and was so thankful they were alive, they thought, we must build a church. We just must build a church. So they built their church, and they called them painted churches. And today you can take tours and you can go see these painted churches.
And this room is called what?
This is the dairy. Now Canales came in, and there was brothers. And the Canale brothers came in and they got off of the train in Sandia, this town right over here. Okay, now then, they decided that they would do the dairy. So it ended up being Canale's Jersey farm, and it was the world's largest Jersey farm. This is what I think is so great. So we have a Jersey cow, and this cow talks.
Milk cows are ruminants having a large stomach with 4 separate compartments. This gives cows a decided advantage in digesting and utilizing parts of plants which are normally useless. Substances such as cellulose found in grass and hay and other waste
ag
products such as cottonseed hulls and
because
can be
they
utilized
come
by
down,
the dairy
my
cow
high
to make
school
2 highly
girls
nutritious
and boys
products,
will come down.
milk and meat.
But look at this.
The dairy cow
How many of
uses
you
her
knew
tongue
that
to draw feed into
a
her
cow
mouth where it
drinks
is partially
35
chewed.
gallons
It then
of
passes
water a
through the
day, or
esophagus
even
and enters
more,
the largest stomach compartment
making
called the
milk.
rumen.
A cow eats
Here, the feed
55
is
pounds
mixed with
of feed a
bacteria where
day,
fermentation begins.
and it will produce 48
Some
pounds
of
of
the food is
milk a day.
regurgitated to the mouth for more chewing, then it's returned to
And
the
this is
rumen.
it. It is the dairy.
Food nutrients from the fermenting feed
Now what did they
are
do with their dairy? It's a bed and breakfast.
Oh, it is now?
People saw what it was like, what we were doing, and we had all this history and everything. Well, they were so excited they wanted a museum, and they had kept this. And we asked them at the 50th, could they bring in their things? And they brought in their things that they had brought and kept and everything. And we had enough for the museum. The things that are here belong to the people. This museum is for the people. The building was given for the people.
Larry Tabor.
Okay, what do you do, Larry?
I work for Valero Refining.
And I hear you're in the board of the, you're one of the board of the directors?
Board of directors in the Orange Grove Museum.
Okay, great. What are we about to see here?
We are about to see a wooden 1915 caboose that was actually transformed from a boxcar to a caboose. Because back in World War I there was a lack of steel, so they used wood rather than use steel. When we brought it in here, it was completely dilapidated, and we stripped it down to nothing but an iron skeleton and completely rebuilt it inside and out.
This Rock Island 1915 caboose had been fully restored. It's one of the 5 of these cabooses left in the country. The inside of the caboose has been completely rebuilt and includes the old telegraph and other equipment used by the railroad. There's also a collection of railroad spikes, lanterns, and tools.
Originally there was a bench up there, and the windows would open. That's how they signaled the train engine to stop, when to stop, or when to back up, or when to go forward. They had different signals that they used with the lantern.
So they did the scene
Oh yeah.
from the front.
Yeah.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, because they would sit up there and hang out the window.
And what was this little room up here called?
That's a cupola.
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 Huh, I never knew that. And this was a little desk?
A little office where they kept their manifests and stuff like that.
Oh, how nice.
This side would have been the same thing. There's a working telegraph here. Doesn't have a battery, but it actually does work.
Oh, wow.
And what they would do, they carried these on the train, and when they need to transmit, they'd stop the train and hook up to the telegraph wires. Telegraph wires always ran parallel to the train line. So they'd hook up to the wires and then send the telegraph.
Oh, how interesting. Look at that.
We then headed to Tilden, Texas, where we met Janie Varga, administrative assistant for the McMullen County Judge. She then gave us a tour of the McMullen County Historical Museum. From simple household implements such as irons, axes, and logs to more complex business machines such as typewriters and calculators, this collection really shows how far life has come in the past 100 years. The artifacts lining the shelves were donated by local citizens, and they offer a glimpse into the lives of the early settlers in Tilden, Callahan, and the surrounding areas. Committed to preserving and sharing local history, this museum has something for everyone. The museum also houses an archive of countless photos and documents of bygone eras, detailing the names, faces, and events that helped make McMullen County what it is today. The small exhibit of rocks and minerals displays a wide assortment of fascinating colors and textures. Whether you're a history buff or your family is looking for a good time, Janie always has something interesting to show you at the McMullen County Historical Museum. Thank you for joining me on this great tour. These historical objects and photos offer insight into the early history of Tilden, Orange Grove, and its surrounding towns. There's so much to see, so if you're ever in the area, please make an effort to come by and visit them.